Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Obviously today's Memorial Day, so thank you to all the servicemen, men and women in the United States Armed Forces that have served this country. Greatly appreciate that, and saying thank you is not enough, I guess. But thank you nonetheless. What do we got going on here? Bitcoin's still around 108,000 right now. Dipped a little bit lower from where I said 109,000 in holding, but we're still in good shape there. We do have a bunch of bullish news stories on Bitcoin. We'll talk about the miners for last week. How did they do against Bitcoin? They didn't do that great, except for maybe one miner. They did actually better than Bitcoin did. We'll talk about that. And then we'll get into Q&A. Not much going on here, miners. Obviously, we're not trading today. Bitcoin keeps trading 24 hours a day, so we'll get through it all. And as always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for timid only. Please do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's get into it. See what we got going on with Bitcoin right now. Where is it heading? And based on all the news that we have, I think it's going to be heading much higher here. But here's what we got right now. Bitcoin today, on Monday at least, was in the green, right? On the new day, it's in the red. So we were up 0.38%. We were up over the weekend as well. We were up on Sunday, 1.16%. Saturday, we were up just a little bit, 0.43%. So overall, we had a good weekend. We were in the green. Did we get any? No, we didn't. We didn't get any gaps here on the CME futures. So that's good there, right? We don't have to worry about those getting filled here. So that's looking pretty good here right now as it is. And going back here to Bitcoin, Bitcoin's still doing good. I mean, nice 3-day run up here, a little pullback that we're seeing right now on Tuesday, basically. This is normal, nothing major here. We'll see how the miners do tomorrow as well. We got basically this is the last week here. Wow, May went by really, really fast. So this is the end of the week here for May. Miners will start reporting next week their productions for May. We'll see where those come in at. But right now, with Bitcoin being where it's at and just the network hash rate where it's at, miners are making really, really good revenue right now as it is. So if Bitcoin goes up even more, that's going to bode well for the miners even more. But I mean, we can't really complain right now. Things are looking pretty good for them. But yeah, so that's all I got here on Bitcoin right now. If we look at the Bitcoin network hash rate on the 30-day average, that has gotten to a new all-time high, it looks like. Just this was back on May 25th. We did reach 877 exahash, which the prior high was 876. So we did get into a new record for network hash rate, right, on the 30-day average at least. So that is continuing to go up here, but it's been kind of flat here more or less. If you go back to April 18th, so for about a month, it's been kind of flat. Actually went down a little bit, went back up here. All right, so it's not that big of a deal, which is good for the miners, right? We don't want this thing going parabolic on us like it did in 2024 and 2023, where we saw huge gains in network hash rate, or huge increases actually in network increases. And that one, okay, so that looks pretty good here. Also, the Bitcoin hash price right now is looking pretty good still. We're in the mid 50s for it. We are at $57 per petahash right now, so that's looking good. It's a lot better than where we were back here in April, where we were at like $49 and $45 even at some point. So this does bode well for the miners in general. On that, Bitcoin here for the month of May is still looking pretty good. We are up 15.79% as of right now. We have a couple more days to go, basically about, 7 more days to go roughly before the end of the month here. June is on Sunday, June 1st is on Sunday. And that's when I'm going to be flying out for my vacation. I'll be gone for 10 days. I'll try to do videos still, but we won't do live stream, I don't think. The resort, I doubt, has significant speed to do that. Internet speed, that is. So I'll probably record some videos, obviously, for the updates that come out for the miners, and I'll put them out to you guys. We'll do maybe premiere videos where I can still chat with you guys in the chat a live time at that point. But if I can do live streams, I'll do live streams, but we'll have to take a look. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. So Bitcoin's still doing pretty good here for May. For the quarter, Q2 is looking really good, 32% up in the quarter. Love seeing that. Bitcoin ETF inflows for last week. Well, BlackRock continues to buy in. 430 million was bought in on Friday. And even though we had a couple of them were actually selling out at that point, right, which is surprising because Bitcoin at that point, actually on Friday, I think was down, right? Was it down on Friday? Yeah, Friday was down, right? Substantially quite a bit here. Bitcoin was down 3.93%, but yet we had BlackRock buying in, right? Go figure. So we had 430 million inflows. Who was selling? Retail, possibly, but the institutions continue to buy into this stuff. And that goes into some of the bullish stories that we have here. The first one is obviously going to be on, Monday, right? What do we expect on Mondays? We expect Michael Saylor to report that Strategy bought more Bitcoin. And sure enough, Strategy has acquired 4,020 Bitcoin for $427.1 million. at an average price of 106,237 per Bitcoin, and has achieved Bitcoin yield of 16.8% year to date. As of 5/25, they now hodl 580,250 Bitcoin, acquired for 40.61 billion at 69,979 per Bitcoin. I mean, they're gonna try and get to, probably like over 600,000 Bitcoin by the end of this year if they can continue to do this. I mean, they could probably get there in a month if they continue to buy like 4,000 Bitcoin a week here. So that's just crazy that they're going to be at 600,000 Bitcoin here. So yeah, right, bullish news here. That's taking the coins off exchanges, off the OTC desks, all that, and it's just going to make the price of Bitcoin go up higher. Next here, just in, Florida introduces bill to remove capital gains tax on Bitcoin. And if that happens, I might be moving to Florida because that would be good, especially when Bitcoin gets to a million or something like that. That's going to be a lot in taxes for where I live in the state. But we'll see if the United States does something similar. I thought I saw a story on that as well, that the president is mulling it over, basically. So that's great news for Bitcoin. Here, just in, the U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security was just added to the official Bitcoin conference agenda. BTC is now a matter of national security, bullish, right? So you got a lot of the departments that surround Trump are for crypto, for Bitcoin, and this all is great for us, right? Having a cohesive message across the board there in the government that we're for Bitcoin and everything else. So these are really good news. Next here, Trump Media Group to raise $3 billion to buy Bitcoin and crypto. Right, more companies going to be buying Bitcoin. They're going to send this thing, sky high, as high as they can send it possibly if they do buy into it. They're not ones to lose money on this, I would say. Okay, so that's great news there. Standard Chartered Bitcoin targets. These are kind of in line with what I'm recently thinking here as well. 2025, we might see around 200,000, right? Which is kind of where I was thinking as well, that we could be between like 180,000 and 250,000, somewhere around there. So 200,000 is in line with that. I'm thinking 2026, yeah, we could get to 300,000, maybe even higher than that, maybe 325, 350, don't know exactly. 2027, about 400,000, and then 2028, about 500,000. I think these are all doable. Why? Again, because we keep talking about all these bullish stories for Bitcoin adoption, and countries, companies, states, everybody and their brother and their sister, trying to get Bitcoin as much as they can, yet retail is the only one that's kind of out on the bench right now on this stuff, which is unfortunate because retail is the one that really should be getting into it because they're the ones that might actually benefit the most out of it. But it is what it is. But I think these numbers are pretty good here, right? If we get an extended cycle, like I said, which I'm thinking that we might get an extended cycle here where we don't see those 70-80% drops in Bitcoin going forward, and we just have these 20-30% corrections like we've seen here over the last year. At least we've had 2 of those corrections already play out over a number of months. So it is completely different from the cycles we've had in the past. Now, if it continues on, this is what we might be looking at here, right? We might not be going back down in 2026, 70% like we have in the past. We could continue to go up here, and I think that might be the case with the adoption continuing on here. All right, so that's great news there. And then just in, publicly traded DDC Enterprise buys 21 Bitcoin for their treasury. Small amount, right? But they plan to buy 5,000 Bitcoin. 5,000 Bitcoin is 5,000 Bitcoin. Still, it takes us, we get 450 Bitcoin mined per day roughly on average, right? So what does that take? That's roughly 10, 12 days or so of Bitcoin mining that's out. They're going to be taken out as well. So just more adoption happening here. And then Charles Schwab, CEO, says Bitcoin and crypto buying is coming for 37 million clients. I use Charles Schwab as well. It's one of the platforms that I use for trading the miners. Miners, ETFs, miner ETFs. That's what I use for that. So that's great news. More adoption, more people being able to buy Bitcoin at these exchanges, Charles Schwab, E-Trade, whatever they are. That's just going to open up the floodgates even more for people to have exposure to it. They have exposure to it now through the ETFs, but if they wanted to get Bitcoin directly, this definitely helps out there as well. So this is great news, right? This is stuff that we're not bullish on. Enough on it, I think. And then just in, Japanese public company Remix Point to buy 200 more Bitcoin for 1 billion. They are racing to get to 1,000 Bitcoin. Insanity, right? So you got these smaller companies looking to buy a lot more Bitcoin. And that's just, we're seeing more and more of this stuff happening here recently. Or I would say probably within the last, 3 months, we've seen an uptick in this. even more so than we've seen in the past as well. So this is exciting. I love seeing this. Companies putting it on their balance sheet as well. Next story we got here, Europe's MicroStrategy. The blockchain group just raised $63.3 million to buy more Bitcoin, right? Companies are doing that flywheel basically with what strategy does. Is they're maybe diluting, using the ATM, getting convertible notes or whatnot, and they're buying more Bitcoin here. Again, this takes Bitcoin off the exchanges, off of OTC. What is that going to do long term? It's going to drive the price of Bitcoin up much higher. So love that. And then finally here we got Bullish, the US spot Bitcoin ETFs bought 25,500 Bitcoin last week, while we only mined basically 3,150 were mined in that week. So go figure, right? Where is this coming from? It's coming from retail. Retail is selling out as Bitcoin price goes up higher here, which is, like I said, which is unfortunate. Unless you bought in, Bitcoin in low $100 or sub $1,000 even, I would say, okay, you're probably making pretty good bang for your buck there. And if you bought quite a few of those, well, yeah, if you bought 10 Bitcoin at that point or whatever, yeah, you're at $1 million. That's definitely life-changing, definitely money for some people here. But if you held on a little bit longer, I think you'll do even better at that point. I'm holding. I'm not selling anything that I have right now. Hopefully you guys are doing the same thing. So, supply shock is going to be coming in here. I just don't know exactly when, if we're already in part of it. I think we are. Based on just what I'm seeing here, I think the supply shock is happening. It's just, man, it's gonna go wild a little bit here, I think, in the next couple of months here. But we'll see. All right, so that's all the bullish news stories that have Bitcoin. That obviously is going to impact the miners as well. Bitcoin price going up helps the miners here. They're definitely going to be much more profitable in the long run as well. So let's get into Bitcoin and the miners here for last week. The miners didn't do so well last week, at least not as well as I thought they were going to do. For some reason, they were down here. And we'll look at this chart here first, which is the miners, along with strategy, how far they are up from their 52-week lows and how far away they are from their 52-week highs here. So the first bars are how far they are up from their 52-week lows. So strategy is doing the best. It's up 260% here, followed by BitTR, 167%, Core up 139, Bitcoin up 118. Then we got Hut 8, Cypher, IREN, Bitfarms, Hive, Marathon, Cleanspark, and Riot. Right, Riot being the worst performer here in the last 52 weeks, I guess, from the lows. And then you can see Bitcoin's only 4.2% away from its 52-week highs here. And the closest next one would be strategy, being only 32% off, which it reached like $530 some odd back in, I think it was November of last year. So that one's the closest. And then after that, it would probably be IREN, only 42%, 42.7 along with Core. And then we would have Riot, 46%. And then you guys can see the rest of them as well. I'm not going to read them all to you guys there. For last week, though, the miners did not do well. Bitcoin was up 4%. All the miners except one underperformed Bitcoin here. IREN was up 8%. IREN's having a pretty nice run here recently. Core was down 1%. Hut 8 was down 3%. Cleanspark was down 4%. BitTR and Hive were down 5%. Riot was down 7%. Strategy was down 8%. Bitfarms was 9%, along with Marathon. And Cypher was down 10%. So it was definitely a weak week. Or, a less than subpar week for the miners, considering Bitcoin was still up 4% here. But they had a really great week the week prior. So is this kind of like the leveling out? Maybe. And if we look at the 4 weeks chart here, we can see Bitcoin's up 11%. And then at this point, we have quite a few more miners outperforming. IREN's up 40%, so almost a 4x there. Core is up 22, so that's a 2x. Hut 8 is up 21 as well, so that's a 2x. Cleanspark is just half of that. And then BitTR is up 32%, so that's a 3x on it. Hive is close to Bitcoin, 9%. And then Riot, Bitfarms, Marathon, and Strategy actually have underperformed here, with Cypher being close to them at 10% from 4 weeks ago. At 8 weeks ago, Bitcoin's up 28%. And now we got BitTR outperforming quite nicely here, almost a 3x on that one. IREN also outperformed 54%. Cypher up 65% as well, so that was better. Core up 49%, Hut 8 up 46%, Cleanspark 28%, even with Bitcoin there. Hive at 40%, so that's outperformed. Riot underperformed. Strategy kind of close to a 26%. Bitfarms actually outperformed, and Marathon also slightly outperformed here as well. Now looking at 12 weeks, now we can see Bitcoin's up 24%, and only ones that have outperformed are Core being up 37%, BitTR 31%, Strategy being up 29%, and everybody else has underperformed here, with IREN being up only 18%, Hut 8 up 23%, Cleanspark up 6, Hive actually being down 2%, Riot up 2%, Bitfarms down 15, Marathon down 8, Cypher down 11 from 12 weeks ago. So things are starting to get a little bit better here, at least on the closer time frames as things progress. And if we look at the table here, we can see that, yeah, I mean, we definitely had a nice, very nice week last week for the miners, right? We saw CORZ being up 15%. We saw Cypher being up 29%, Hive up 12%, HUD 8 up 23%, IREN up 19%. So they did definitely outperform Bitcoin here, with Bitcoin being up only 0.5%. And I track it Friday to Friday, as always, on these things. So maybe a little profit taking happening here during the week here for Bitcoin, even Bitcoin being up 4%. But yeah, it's kind of strange that they were doing that. So I think it's just profit taking. That's kind of what I gather from it, because we've had kind of 2 nice weeks where the miners were up in the green. So a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of a relief. Okay, I'll take that. We'll see how this week turns out for us, being the final week in May here on it. And then you can see prior to that, obviously we've had a better time here in the last, I would say, 5 weeks or so, 5 or 6 weeks. Prior to after that, it gets kind of crazy and more reddish than anything I've seen here. So we've definitely kind of rebounded from where we were, with the lows being in early April. Things are looking much better for us here right now. All right, so that is it. That's all I got for you guys tonight. Now let's get into the Q&As, the spreadsheets, and all the stuff is going to be available to my Patreon members. As always, link for that is down in the description if you want to join and help support the channel. Greatly appreciate you guys joining there. And then also, if you want to follow me on Twitter or on X now, here's my username or X handle, whatever you want to call it. So let's see what kind of questions we got, and we'll call it a day. We'll start out the week tomorrow with miners trading again, and we'll see where we go from there. All right, as always, questions, you guys can preface those with a question mark or a Q. Greatly appreciate it. And I'm going to work my way back up top to see if there's any questions that I missed here. And let's see here. What do we got here? All right. Love Guru, thanks for posting this. Why isn't this coming up here? There it is. Only 3 likes. What is this? Yeah, if you guys enjoy the content, hit the like button. That definitely helps me out here. Neville says, if we follow the M2 supply, we are due for a dip before a rip to 120. I think it'll happen fast, and it may the last time to buy the stocks at such low prices. I would agree, right? Yeah, I mean, if Bitcoin follows directly like the M2 supply, then there would be a little bit dip happening right about now, and then we would go up much higher from there. And then I post a question for you guys. Will Bitcoin hit 120,000 this week? 55% of you say no, that it will not. So 45% of you think that it will. We'll see what happens. All right. John has a question here. Hey, Seb, is it impossible to invest with the administration? Maximum corruption, pathetic. Well, you got to follow what they say, or at least what they post on X or Truth Social, wherever you want to follow it, because there have been multiple times where Trump or somebody else tweeted and the things were ripped at that point. So the things I'm seeing here, they're looking bullish, but the big unknowns are still with the tariffs, right? We'll have to wait and see if those get worked out with not only the European Union, but also with China, right? Those things need to get worked out. Okay. And let's see. Neville says, Seb, have you been able to buy? I remember you said Uncle Sam needed his cut first. It'd be a shame that he made you miss out. I have not been able to buy yet. I just sent out my check for property taxes, which was a lot. Unfortunately, in the state that I live in, it's ridiculous how much we pay in property taxes, the first portion of it. So that is paid off, or the first portion is paid. I am going to be able to finally start buying back in, I think, in June. Yeah, I've had to lay out tens of thousands of dollars here in the last probably 4 or 5 weeks. So I'm not a happy camper about that. And so for those reasons, I've not been able to buy. But man, I would have loved to have been buying when things were dipping hard. And then John asks, Seb, would you buy at these levels if you were starting a new position and at these elevated prices? Bitcoin, yes, I would still be buying in Bitcoin because I think Bitcoin's going to go up much higher in the next, 4 to 8 years, whatever it's going to be. I think it's going to get to $1 million potentially in that time, maybe 4, 5 to 10 years, something like that. I think that is possibility there, so I would buy that. The miners here, I still think that they are way undervalued, and if Bitcoin does go up to 200,000 later on this year, the revenue they're going to be generating, as long as the network hash rate doesn't go crazy, and let's say we end up at like 930, 950 exahash by the end of the year, I think that is going to be still really good for the miners, especially if Bitcoin goes up to 200,000 at that point. I I've been running some spreadsheets on that, and it looks like a lot of the guys, like Cleanspark, IREN, I mean, if Bitcoin's at 200,000 and network hash rates are like 930 exahash, IREN's going to be, I think, like 80% profitable, right? Profit margin for just taking out the electricity cost. On it, Cleanspark is going to be like mid-70s%. So the profit margin is going to be just great when that happens. So I think they should run at that point. But we'll see. Neville says the first week of June we'll see 120. Okay, so next week possibly. That's his guess there. Romani has a question here. Seb, if BTC is at 200,000, is 200, 300,000, 400,000 in 2025, 2026, then Cleanspark, in my calculation, be around 90,000, should be $132, but at BTC 150 average, it should still be greater than 25 unless management dilutes us. Stay strong, guys. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the tough part, right? We know that Cleanspark's not going to be diluting much this year, or any, supposedly, so we'll see if that's going to be still the case here. But next year, I mean, they may not have to dilute. If Bitcoin continues to go up, and we just have these kind of corrections where it does correct down, 20, 30% or something like that, they may not have to dilute as long as they continue to sell the Bitcoin that they make there, or at least a portion of it, to fund operations and growth going forward. So it'll be interesting to see how that will play out for the miners. Right? And if Bitcoin corrects again 20, 30%, well, the miners correct again 60%, 70% to the downside. We'll have to see on that one. So it's going to be interesting times and an interesting dynamic that's going to happen here if Bitcoin does continue to go up here much faster than the network hash rate actually does. All right, Neville says, I think Bitfarms is going to sell to a hyperscaler. In the interview with McNally, Ben said that with the potential clients he's talking to, they'd rather build their own data center. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been my thoughts on it as well for a long time, but I don't think they're going to be bought out. They might want to buy out the sites that they have there in Pennsylvania potentially. But yeah, I mean, historically, the hyperscalers want to have control, right? And they want to usually control everything there. And when they build out to their own specs, whatever they want and how they want it, and they have full control over it. So that's always been my thought of contention and why some of these miners are not getting these things, right? We're seeing, except for CoreWeave and Core, right? That's, I think, and along with Galaxy there, I think CoreWeave is an exception to that because they're just trying to get to scale as fast as possible, right? They're trying to compete with the hyperscalers. So they need to go a different route where they're a little bit more, I think, accommodating when it comes to having things built out for them. But other than that, everybody else, Core 42 with TeraWolf. Who else do we have here that has a good deal? I think that's it. Bit Digital is another one that has smaller customers, right? But it's smaller sites, smaller things. And yeah, I mean, we haven't seen the big hyperscalers get into bed with any of these big guys here yet. And I think that might be the point of contention there. So we'll see. We'll see if anything gets worked out there with the miners. Yeah, that's literally what we've been saying about the hyperscalers. Yeah. So yeah, we've been saying that for gosh, probably a year now, I'm thinking. CJ says, I'm almost feeling bullish. Okay, well, that's a good. Okay. Seb, are you expecting a rate cut next month? I do not. No, I don't think we're going to get a rate cut just yet. The bonds, the 30-year bonds are, 5% right now? They were up 5.125 last week. They've come down a little bit here. I don't think we're going to see rate cuts. I think Fed's going to wait to see what happens with the Trump tariffs. Where do those negotiations go, and where do they end up at? So I think they're going to wait because right now everything else is still looking pretty good. Jobs are still good. Inflation's kind of under control. So yeah, I don't see it. Let's see. Dynamite says Bitfarms trading on the Canadian market today, and it's down. Doesn't bode well for the miners tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Bitcoin was definitely up a little bit over the weekend, but it's down here a little bit now. That's down 0.88%, not bad. Let's see. Romani says, now Ben said that their strategy is to build 150 megawatt center and then show promise and then build more. They're doing it like a test site, right? We've seen that also with TeraWolf doing like a test site. IREN as well, I believe. So these guys are trying to at least prove to potential customers that they can do these things, right? And how do you do that? Well, you need to build something out where they can see it. Yeah, we'll see. Okay. Let's see. Neville says, yes, Ben, basically Ben, he said that, but literally also said the renderings were meant for a company like a Google to show them what a future with them could look like. Yeah, I mean, they're trying to appeal to big players here, right? They're the ones that have the cash to do all this stuff. Unless you're part of Project, what is that? Project Star or something, Starlight, I can't remember what it's called, where it's SoftBank, Oracle, as well as OpenAI, right? Those guys are building out a huge data center in Texas, I believe it is, right? So that's a lot of money being spent there. But again, none of the miners benefited from it. Miner Degen says, started a new position in Metaplanet on Friday. Tomorrow I'll sell the rest of miner holdings to complete my position in Metaplanet. Okay, so you're moving everything over to Metaplanet. I'm guessing you probably own also Strategy at this point. Noah says also, and we all know Google would never bother partnering with a miner unless they buy it outright. Well, I mean, they do go into these kind of, they do have, I'm trying to think if they have any sites they lease. I mean, they might lease a site, but I think the buildings are basically theirs that they built out. So, yeah, that's kind of my thinking there. We haven't seen them really go out of that. They like having control, and I don't blame them. Ron says, hey, Seb, hope you're having a good long weekend. I am, thank you. What are your thoughts on buying MicroStrategy? Is it a long-term hold? Any other treasury companies to consider? I do think it might be a long-term hold if this cycle is going to be different, right? If it's going to be an extended cycle for them. Because otherwise, if Bitcoin goes down, they're going to get wrecked as well, just like everybody else, miners included, right? So if this cycle is longer and we have an extended cycle where Bitcoin does go up to 200,000 this year, maybe 300,000 next year, 400 the following year, 500 the following year after that, then that might be a good hold. But at times it does get overheated as far as the MNAV is concerned, whatever you want to, if you want to look at that or something else. It does outrun Bitcoin at points, and then it comes back down, right? We saw that happening in November of last year, got to 530, corrected after that. So I think right now it's a pretty good range to get into it still. It's what, under 380, I think right now, or is it, where is it at? MicroStrategy, yeah, 370, 369 right now. So I think that's still a pretty healthy range for it. It did correct here a little bit. Yeah, let's see, go to the screen here so you guys can see it. It did get up to 430 and it came back down to 370 roughly. Right, got a little overheated again, came back down. I think this is a pretty good range to get into it if you can. And this, yeah, so MicroStrategy I think might be a good long-term hold. Who else is going to be a good long-term hold? Trying to think. Core is going to be definitely interesting to see what the revenues are going to be generating from Core Weave later on this year and into next year. And then obviously things are going to improve for them. Can they become a data center player for other players, potentially hyperscalers, things like that, right? Can they do those things? Miners might be a good hold depending how they perform going forward in an extended cycle. That's yet to be seen and determined there, so that's tough to say. That, yeah, hold on to them because we've seen them correct 70% here when Bitcoin's gone down 30%, so that's kind of tough on that. I think MicroStrategy, who else would be a good one? The other ones that are holding, the 21, right? The new one that's coming out, was it CEB? I think that's CEB or CBE. I can't remember now. I think I have it in here someplace. Did I put it down here? I was keeping an eye on it. I don't have it. I thought I did. But that was one of them as well, right? When they go public, they're the ones that are merging with Griffin, right? So that one, definitely take a look at that one as well, potentially. But yeah, I'm sure you guys in the community here could possibly provide even more at that point. All right, let's go back to Q&A. Let's see. All right, Neville says, we're going back to Bitfarms here. Ben also redefined the company from a miner to an energy infrastructure company or something. The clues are there. Yeah, he's definitely positioning it for that way. And hopefully they can get something there because they might miss a nice run here in Bitcoin price going up. So we shall see. He'll either sell the site or the company. Not financial advice, just my guess. I don't know if they'd want to sell it unless they get a really good premium on it, and then but would the hyperscaler really want to overpay for it? Probably not. They might just sell, buy the sites out. That might be more appealing to them than buying out Bitfarms themselves. Let's see, Bitch82's got a question here. Will my Bitfarms position become green this week at $1.35? We might get close, but I think we might still be a little bit away. Let's see, Turd Ferguson, I'm heavy in Cleanspark. Average buy-in is $11 a share. Should I cut my losses or hodl? Looking for short-term swing plays, by the way. So if you're looking for short-term swing plays, then I'll probably, not financial advice, but if that's what I was doing, I mean, you're not too far away from it as it is. Where's Cleanspark right now? As of Friday here, it was at 936, so you're not too far away. You're off by, what is that, 20% down? Something like that? So maybe take your losses, but I think Cleanspark, with not diluting this year, that should do well for the stock, I would think. With Bitcoin going up to 200,000, right? At that point, it should do well, but it still has a lot of shorts on it. So we'll see how those guys start to change their positions here, if they start changing their positions on that. Ron asks, will you exit your position in Bitfarms, and what's your target price if so? My average price on it right now is $1.43, I think it is. So I'm in the red a little bit on it right now. Will I exit my position? Yeah, the plan was to always exit all of my positions that I have in Cleanspark and IREN and everything else, but we'll see how the cycle plays out. If it becomes an extended cycle, right, we may, or at least I may think about trying to play the cycles a little bit, right? If Bitcoin corrects 30% and miners correct again 67%, I may try to sell towards the tops of it, wait for it to come back down, buy back in, maybe try doing that. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that with a small portion of it just to see how it works out. So I just don't know right now. But Bitfarms, I would probably sell, if I at least break even on that portion of it. I did make profits on it last year when I sold a huge chunk of it in profit. So if I get it, at my cost, I may hold on to it just because see where it's at. I don't own a lot right now as it is. I think I only have like 8,000 shares roughly, something like that. So it's not a huge part of my position right now as it is. It was much higher from, 6 months ago it was much higher position, but I've definitely pulled that down. All right. S says, I think BTC peaks in July. Okay. Why would you think of it in July? Historically, Bitcoin has peaked in like October, November, December timeframes if the cycle plays out the same way. But if it's an extended cycle, it might play out completely differently. So it's just a question there. Right, miner Degen, the current environment and the future of miners is so depressing and toxic compared to Bitcoin treasury companies like MetaPlanet. Yeah, I mean, well, you've seen the stocks, what it's been doing, right? So those guys have been going up like crazy. Okay, Ron says, do we still continue to see downward pressure from shorts? Any other reasons why miners are not at new all-time highs like BTC? It could be the shorts, I think. We saw that a little bit last week, potentially. We have seen some shorts start to get out. I've seen news information on that as well. I think this was the week prior where we had a nice week on the miners. But last week, I think they were trying to push them down a little bit. We saw that with the miners opening up in the green, being up 8% in the morning, and then being down by within probably 2-3 hours of trading. So there was definitely a lot of sell pressure there, even though Bitcoin was going up. So it's kind of strange there. All right. Ron, can you please explain how moving to HPCI can be more profitable than mining Bitcoin, or do they complement each other? Not clear on the strategy benefits. So they can complement each other depending how you work it out. So there's two ways you could do this. But let's start with just the HPCI revenue, right? If you get a great deal, something like CoreWeave got or Core Scientific got with CoreWeave, or Galaxy for that matter as well, right? They got a deal with CoreWeave there. If you get a great deal like that, that's basically set income. You know what you're going to be getting for a number of years, right? So you know what you're getting. It's much easier to get debt financing for projects based on that type of revenue than it is to be in Bitcoin mining, which Bitcoin historically mining has been very, very volatile. You would have huge run-ups, and then you would have huge downfalls as well, right? Bitcoin would correct 70, 80% at that point. Miners would correct even more, 90, 95% sometimes. So in that regard, the revenue stream is much, it's known, right, what you're getting. With Bitcoin, you don't know what you're getting from month to month, from day to day, sometimes even with the spikes that we see here. So from that aspect, it is much easier on the balance sheet. It's easier for a company to raise capital, all that stuff. It becomes easier for them in that part. Revenues are also pretty good on it as well. Better so, I mean, you'd have to probably average out the revenue that you get for Bitcoin during the cycles, during the peak, and then the bear cycles of Bitcoin. What do you actually generate over that period of time? But if you do, I think currently you would probably see that HBCI is a better revenue stream based on that. Now, can Bitcoin mining complement the HBCI? Yes, because especially if you do like hedging on electricity and things like that, you can turn off the miners much easier than you can the HBCI. Then you can basically leave the megawatts going into the HBCI business side of things and still making it very, very profitable at that point. So you could do a couple of things, and I think Ben's also talked about that as well, where they can, move things around and be able to still have a really, really good uptime for the data centers for HPCI. All right, let's see. Story Hunter here. Hi, Seb. Miners wasn't run up small cap index, IWM breakout, but once that happened, miners leaps and bounce like crazy. Your thoughts on it? Yeah, there's been definitely a lot of talk about the IWM. I think that's which one is it? It's the this one, the IWM, the iShares Russell 2000. Let's go here. So that one was coming down last week, and the miners do like to follow it as well. We can scroll out here, go out day, and we can probably pull in a couple miners here and see how well they follow it or not. Let's put in Cleanspark here, add that to it. Same as scale. We can also put in here maybe IREN, put that in there. We'll put in also Cypher, Riot, and we'll just see how well they correspond to that. Okay, so kind of hard to see here. IREN is definitely outperformed here. The IWM, trying to see, where's IWM? There's IWM. I mean, we do kind of see a little correlation here with it, but sometimes the miners are even, going to the red side while IWM is going to the upside. So it's hard to tell. Let's do a weekly here. Well, that's even worse to see because the miners definitely overshoot that one. Let's zoom this in a little bit. Hard to tell. Based on this, things are going down. When things are going up here, going down, I mean, things are going back up. IWM is going down, but the miners are still going up here. So it's hard to tell if that's actually the case here. There might be some impact on it. I don't know if it's, 1-1 on it. We have seen, obviously, the IWM come up here. It's been going down. That's been going down as well. Maybe. Yeah, but I just don't see like a really, really close correlation between the two. At least not on this. Maybe there's a better chart I can look at where it would maybe show a little bit better. Let's just do Riot. I mean, Riot, you can kind of see it here on Riot, at least how it follows down and then back up here. Let's see here. On this, it was going up, down, up, but this was still going up here while this one was going down here. So that kind of null and voids a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. It's going down, it's going up, up, up. Went down actually, and then at times it does correlate, I guess you could say. Not always, but at times it does. Okay. Let's go back here. Okay, let's see. Question, assuming miners will grow faster as BTC goes up, is there a point where just owning BTC will be equal or better at next halving, or, geez, I don't know. So, I mean, last cycle, the miners outperformed Bitcoin tremendously, right? A multiple times better, depending when you got into them. This cycle around, it's not the same. It's not, at least not yet. We haven't gone through the whole cycle here, right? We'll have to wait and see where we end up later on this year. But right now, it hasn't really played out that way. For some miners, maybe, yes. At certain points, they definitely outperformed Bitcoin here. But then when they corrected much more than Bitcoin did. So owning Bitcoin, I think you should own both. to be honest. I think you should own both Bitcoin and miners or MicroStrategy or Strategy Metaplanet, whatever you want to own. Similar industries, things like that, right? If you want to own those things as well, the ETFs, for Bitcoin and for the Bitcoin miners as well. Probably want to have a basket of things if you're really investing as best you can. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to be better or equal. I would think it would be at least equal. It might be slightly better than Bitcoin with the miners here going forward, but we'll see. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Chao has a question here. Hi, Seb. How do you see if institutions are buying or selling miners? Thanks. How do you see it if institutions? I use Webull and I track it month to month to see if institutions are buying in or not. And we have been seeing that the institutions are still continuing to buy into the miners here, which is good, right? Because they obviously have a conviction that the miners are going to go up higher, and it might be just retail that's selling out of these things. Okay, let's see. It says, my reasoning is that the cycles this time between stocks, metals, and crypto look coincident or close to. Those others peak around then too, in my opinion. First melt up, then the unexpected sharp bear. Okay, so that's where you were targeting July for the peak of Bitcoin. Okay. All right. Cyber says, stay out of Bitfarms, Hut, Wolf, Hive, BitDigital. These are not deals, folks. These are what we'll call junk. Mar, IREN, and Cleanspark should be the only ones, I guess, only miners, I'm guessing. Yep. Hive, I mean, Hut, Hut is an interesting one to begin with. I mean, they got so many different businesses and things like that. Then they're, pushing off the Bitcoin mining off to American BTC. Wolf doesn't, it's tough to find out what's going on with Wolf. They don't report monthly updates anymore. Hive, we know is going to be growing here. Hive has potential, I think. BitDigital, I think BitDigital is also doing a great job. They pivoted quite nicely from being a Bitcoin miner with, that was asset light, to then starting to buy these little mining or not data center sites, a couple megawatt data sites, and having customers with it, and they're generating revenue from that. So they did a pretty good job. Now, can they grow that even faster and get more customers and things like that? That's yet to be seen. So I don't know if those guys are. Those things are, I would say, probably a little bit more risky, right, than maybe Mara, IREN, Cleanspark, and maybe like Riot in there or something like that. But it's just, you're always one good news story away from having these things rocket. So I would just look at it that way. Okay, Dana Wisser says, WGMI BKCH has been treating me well. Okay. WGMI is a ETF for the miners there. Individual miners are too volatile, and some of the bad ones like Hut and Bitdeer mooning for no reason has helped the ETFs as well. Yeah, having ETFs. I own ETFs as well. I own a bunch of ETFs. I own WGMI. I also own, what's the other one that I own? It's BitQ. BitQ is the other one that I own. And that's all my retirement investment account. So I do own a lot of that. I have 90% of my retirement in those two things. Okay. Question here. Unless Hive dilutes, will they be the most profitable miner per share at... good question. I don't know. I know that their cost to mine is a little high right now, higher than others. With them getting your machines, that should drive their joules per terahash efficiency lower, which is going to be good. That means their cost should come down per exahash, however you want to look at it. But I don't know if they're still going to be the lowest cost to mine there. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out for them. But they need to improve on their cost. I've been seeing that for a long time there. Okay, and then another question here. Oh, where did it pop up? There we go. Should we be monitoring miner hash rate percentage of global total versus outright hash rate? Seems to me that percentage of global is a better indicator of BTC mined or profit earned. I monitor that as well. We track that every month to see how the miners are doing, right? Are they losing network hash rate or the market share of network hash rate, or are they gaining it? So yeah, we track it both, or at least I track it both. I probably don't talk about it enough. I do it once a month just to compare where the network hash rate grew, where the miners grew or didn't grow, right? And then did they lose market share or did they gain market share from other miners? So we do look at that as well. All right, Heinz's got a question here. Are you going to the Vegas Bitcoin conference this week? I am not, no, because it's too close to my family's vacation, which is next week. So couldn't afford to do both things. So we're just taking the family. For me, it's going to be my first vacation, like actual vacation, going anywhere for like 2 years now. Definitely going to enjoy it, but I think it might be a little too long. 10 days is a long time for me. I like staying active, doing things. I'm probably going to go stir crazy, sitting by the pool, drinking pina coladas or something. I don't know. I'll have to do something. Ron has a question here. What was your orange pill moment? It was 2017. I heard about Bitcoin into like 2013, 2014 before, but I thought it was just like, stupid internet money. At that point, I didn't really delve into it more. But 2017 was the time frame where I got basically, you could say, orange pilled. I had a friend of mine. We started talking about it again because he got interested in it. So I started doing more research into it. We started, talking more and more about it. And then I started buying it as well, and then we started mining it as well. Once I started getting into mining and looking at all the economics around that, that's what really got me into it. It's full bore. So I've been in it since 2017. All right. Doug's got a question. How will convertible debt work for Cleanspark? Is debt converted to shares upon $24 per share price? I believe so. Do you, the companies issuing these types of bonds, usually dump shares and offer another bond? This is the first time they did this, so I don't know if they're going to do that again, but this is the first time. And yeah, it's like $24. There's at $24, I think they do buy some back of the bonds there, or it's not bonds, convertible notes, right? All right. Will Dell announce BTC buying during the conference? Oh gosh, I have no idea. That would be interesting. Be interesting to find out when and if GameStop's going to buy, right? They got, what was it, 1.5 billion and convertible notes as well. So, yeah, I don't know. Zara says, I expect a poolside live stream set. Yeah, I talked about that a little bit in the beginning of the stream here, or towards the middle of the stream. I don't know what the internet connection is going to be like. If the internet connection is actually pretty good, I might stream. I'll stream from like the, I don't know, from the ocean side or Gulf side of things. If the connection is good, which I doubt it's going to be. So I think I'll just record the video, I'll upload it, and then we'll have a live premiere video. And I can chat with you guys in the chat here, in the comments, while that's going live. So I'll at least keep you guys posted. I got to do something during the day anyways. I can't just be, being lazy all day. That's not me. I can't stand that. I got to do something. So this will at least keep me somewhat occupied and give me at least a break from the sun, maybe a little bit, and from the kids a little bit as well. So that'll take me about an hour to 2 hours or so, I think, to get that going. So it shouldn't be too bad. All right. Jose says, thanks. Hit the like button, guys. Appreciate it. Heinzie Seb, when are you going to start DCing to your top miners? I want to start doing it again, possibly next month in June. Like I said, I've had to pay Uncle Sam, and I've had to pay local property taxes. And I got also another $2,500 that I have to shell out, possibly more, maybe around $3,000, depending on the roof. We had a storm come through here last year in, when was it? July. Like a little mini tornado came through here. Got some damage to the roof, and my insurance is $2,500 deductible, and so I got to pay that as well. So I have that covered right now, so I think I should be in pretty good shape here, unless they tell me, because we want to put in like a metal roof part to portion of our roof, and if that's going to be extra, I may have to pick up the slab on that. But that's about it. I should start being able to buy again. I'm really upset that I haven't been able to buy while the prices were going down, in April and late March. So that really, I was hoping to buy, but weren't able to. Okay, covered that one. Heinzie says, have fun, Seb. Going to be sad, no streaming this week. Stay safe. Well, next week. I will be here this week. It's next week that I'm taking off. So Sunday's the first day of the vacation next week, and I'll be gone for 10 days at that point, but we'll see what we can do. I'm not promising that I'm going to be streaming, but I'll make sure that you guys are updated about at least what's going on with the miners, especially as they report their monthly production updates, we'll see whatever else is happening here. We'll just do basically this without maybe the Q&A. We'll do a Q&A in the comments or something like that at that point. All right, that is it. Thank you everyone so much for coming in here as always. Where do I go? I want to go here. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We got 4 days left in the trading for this month, May here, for the miners at least. So we'll see how they end up at. We'll see where Bitcoin ends up at as well. We got the Bitcoin conference happening obviously this week. I think that starts tomorrow and goes through the end of the week. That'll be interesting to see what kind of news we get out of that. And we'll cover it all tomorrow. We'll see what happens. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you all. Love you all. I'll see you guys.